Hello, everybody. This is Tenacious Earl, and I am going to change something. Just a second. I'll be right back. All right. So this gives me a chance to actually be able to look at the screen of my computer and still be able to kind of look at the camera here. So, although it's going to be really hot. Oh. Wah, wah. Just got to find a better way here. This doesn't like holding it up. So, see if this will. Will this help? No. It was holding it up before. I could just hold it like this, and this looks really goofy. And it sucks. The next. That's going to be a problem. Alright, well. You know what? All that to do this again. So. Mark Russell says that he loves the hat, and hopefully the hat is better than the the camera work here. So yeah, so it's been at least a week since the last broadcast I've done. I am somewhere between apologetic and not apologetic because I've been really busy. We had, so, I think what most people would think is, oh, the kids were out of town. That means you've got lots of time to do all sorts of good tabletop related stuff. And while I don't want to say I didn't, I have to say I did have time to do plenty of tabletop stuff. It's just doing that stuff on the channel kind of got lost in the mix because, there's, I think I've said it before, there's certain like time windows that you look at and say, I can do this here, I can do this there. And it just got really kind of tough. We had a lot of things that were kind of like going on. Been working long hours, trying to sort of squeeze my week into the early part of the week. And then so what happens is it seems like towards the end of the week, there's a lot of other stuff going on that's planned out because, oh, Friday off. Well, that means we should do this and that and the other. And so, when it comes right down to it, the timing just sort of like gets pretty weird. And so to be able to like slide in a quarter of a football game is easier than sliding in all of the preparation work and stuff for a game of Stratomatic on the channel here. And so that's kind of like where it's been. Tabletop Earl's been doing quite a bit of golf, which, I do want to get back to, but I also know that it's kind of good for the moment, I think, to have the golf stuff be related to his match play project as opposed to kind of like cluttering things up. Hi, Brandon Baker. Cluttering it up with the Tenacious Golf Tour. Um, haven't really gotten down to look at the response from the match play. I was assuming that maybe that would be a little bit more popular because it's actual names of, it's the actual players. It's modeled off of their traits and such. And so you've got, Seve Ballesteros and Nicholas and Woods, et cetera, and not, Gareth Leonard, whoever that is, So, so I've been kind of just focusing. I do want to go back to doing some strat, but I wanted to do this tonight because, again, it's sort of like, this is kind of like an open-ended window that I have right here. I could go for 20 minutes. I could go for an hour. Not a big deal. I don't want to go too long because I would kind of like to get set up to play a strat game at some point, either tomorrow night, in terms of the Diamond Kings project. I'd like to get another one of those in and kind of like get that back going again. Because the Tigers finally did unseat the Orioles, which then that kind of allows the project to move on into a kind of a different, it extends it. It would look like things might be winding down, and instead Detroit kind of, muscled them out of there. So that just kind of changes the way that things look. And now I've got to start. I think I had already done the next team in line, which off the top of my head I don't remember. But forgive me for that. I tend to be prepared, but at the moment I'm not. I should know that off the top of my head, actually, and I'm just a little... G-Puck says play ball, and I probably should. I probably should be playing a game right now and not just doing the Tenacious Dugout, which the Tenacious Dugout was supposed to be sort of a free-for-all. You can ask questions. I might riff on various topics. The topics, I guess, tonight that come to mind. So, anyway... The title of the video, August and Everything Since, I don't know. I thought, hey, it's August, and one of the albums that was impactful on the music scene back when I was kind of in my college prime was, or maybe just after, was August and Everything After, which was a Counting Crows album. I think that's the one that had Round Here and Mr. Jones. I don't know. Just seemed like August has gone pretty quickly, and I haven't put out too many videos, and so that's kind of why I went on with the play on words about that, and tried not to use the exact title because I don't expect to get sued by Adam Duritz or anything, but trying to be creative and not just do the old same old. Just anyway. So what have I been doing? Well, I played Jacksonville and Baltimore over the past several days. Kind of slow went on this. Jacksonville actually defeated Baltimore. I think that was 34-9. The game, I like second season, but one of the things that kind of gets to me with second season, and I think I should probably pass it along to the creators as a potential way they could make it a little better. I do kind of feel like teams would... I tend to get too many safeties. Like in this game here, I had 2 safeties. How many safeties are seen in a season? like in a full season. I don't know. I haven't looked. Probably maybe 30. I'm guessing maybe less than that. I was just thinking one per team, maybe. Maybe if you're lucky, maybe it's um, one for every two teams. Maybe it's 16 or 15, something in that range. I don't know. I seem to get a lot of safeties here, and I do think that I may come up with a rule in the near future to say if they're inside the 5 yard line, if the quarterback, if it's a pass play and the quarterback is about to get sacked, if he's above a certain completion percentage ratio or whatever, he throws it away and avoids the safety. Because I just feel like there's too many. To get two in a game just kind of. So it's a real drag. I counted them, but it's kind of a drag. It just doesn't seem realistic in that regard. Um, second season is fun, but it does. You do start to get into some little things like the player usage, the receivers, and things like that. Trying to choose who to throw to sometimes seems arbitrary. You do the best you can, but I don't know. There's part of me that would like to see some additional meat and potatoes kind of like invested into how to um, how to select. I mean, I know they have like a D20 role for things like the receiving and the rush, who rushes and stuff, but I also um, it doesn't help you to choose. So let's say the D20 says that TJ Yeldon runs, fine, okay, but then check you have to check end A, Alan Hearns in this case, but maybe you know some part of the time Alan Hearns doesn't play in those games. If you look at the play counts and things like that, there's Allen Robinson in for the 2016 Jacksonville team was probably getting 95% of the snaps. Hearns was in the 85 to 95 range. That's 15% that he's not on the field, and that can't only just be the short yardage situations or something. So how do you decide that? I don't think because I shouldn't just go and say, oh, it's Alan Hearns every time, because now, in case of Jacksonville, if you look, all of their end A's, they all have the same ratings for run and pass. So I guess in that case, it doesn't really matter. But like the NB, Allen Robinson is a one pass and one run, whereas Rashad Green, who is the second, he's listed second, he's a one pass, zero rush, but he's a one minus, which means that in positive territory, on the opponent's 49 and beyond, is actually a zero pass, which is different than Allen Robinson. So there's just stuff like that that gets a little bit. I've tried to devise my own sort of methods for this, and I haven't really settled upon anything that just found a great seat in my heart and mind as far as, oh, this is the best way. So I'm still using certain sort of mechanisms for this, but I'm not satisfied with them, and so it would be nice to see some continued development in that realm. And I know second season's been around a long time. Play may not really be looking to. I know that they've done a real nice anniversary set this year. You may want to check that out. I think he's got a lot of extra kind of neat pieces and things like that are a little more. And they also have the second season. They call it Light, maybe. Might be called Second Season Light. It's something to that effect, which is it's supposed to be a quicker version of this game, which, again, that's another thing that some people will probably find difficult with this game, is it does take you a good 3 hours without. I've never used the fast action cards that Al Wilson developed, but without those, it's going to take you 2.5, 3 hours. And by the rules, you should keep track of player, all of the receptions and rushes, because you downgrade receivers and running backs when they hit their marks. Um, and again, that's kind of where things get a little. It gets a little. It's okay. Just not. It's not the end of the world. It's actually. I've looked at strat football, and it seems tough for me to figure out how you would play a solitaire game and have it be realistic. Getting the and that's another thing with I think with any football game. If you're going to be playing solitaire, how do you choose plays, and how do you realistically have sort of the interplay between offense and defense, and one coach chooses this while the other coach chooses this, and tendencies, and you're going to have, when you go head to head, you're going to have um, an interplay between two coaches where one suspects the other one's going to do something because he's done it. You get these tendencies, and you can play off of them, you can misdirect, and you don't really get that with solitaire. It's kind of tough to simulate that, and maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe you just say, oh, well, you roll the dice, and in that case, oh, you could concoct, oh, hey, look at that. The defense chose a blitz because they thought that it was going to be let's say a long developing pass, and so the offense decided to do a little dump off screen. You could concoct that with just a simple dice roll, and it would not even be. All of that would just be sort of like, in your head, fantasy, whatever. I guess that's the way you can do it. It seems a little, like it would be more cool if it were organic and you had two brains going against each other. So, Express, not light, Express. Mark Russell with the what do you call it? He gets the award tonight for being on the ball. He was probably at the PlayCon and was there when they were revealing it, and I think gave out some version of it. Whether it's a complete version, I'm not sure. Probably not, but at least some version that would allow you to take it home and be able to play with the sets you already have and stuff. So, but it's Express, second season Express. So, Tabletop Sports Delaware also checking in tonight. Howdy, from down south of me. Good to have a few guys in here checking things out. I'm glad I got some comment to the positive on the hat. I don't know. I'm not sure if the bucket hat really does justice or not. I mean, right now I'm kind of shaggy. I'm starting to. I really need a haircut, and I'm also kind of like feeling like not getting the haircut, just kind of like letting it grow and get a little shaggy. It's getting to fall. Temperatures go down, hopefully. Knock on wood. I don't like the weather. I don't like summer weather. I don't like 90-degree days, and it's even worse when it's 90 and humid, and that's the way it seems to be right now for a long time. Baseball demos, yes. Another kind of southwest maybe, or it's probably more like west southwest, I guess. Down in mid Virginia. Sports Time Machine playing solo elementary strat is a good solo chart in the rule book. Plays quite well. A. Joseph C. says, I need the shades. I really need to buy a pair. Truth be told, I made off with my sons a couple times I had them. And, they're basically kids. And I guess I have a pair in my car that I probably should just get out. But, I mean, I could use the old. This is like hockey tape. I could try and do. I got one of them here. Of course, then I just looks like I have a shiner probably. But I don't know. Yes, I did play some hockey. It was street hockey. With the roller blades. I also played some floor hockey. So it's not like I didn't ever grab a stick, but you know, I would view myself as kind of like an Eric Lindros without the ability to skate or do anything particularly well. So, you know, kind of a a slow moving, um, bulkhead or whatever you want to call it, sort of like a traffic cone that you just kind of like let them kind of sit there and sort of. Uh, I actually like to play a little bit more of the goalie, and just use the goalie stick to kind of like, you know, when nobody's looking, kind of take a little whack at the guy going by me with the old stick just on the back of the leg. He didn't really like that too much, but you got to let him know you're there. You're not going to take any guff. Monocle, yes. There you go. Okay, I can't crunch down on it enough. It's still too big. But yeah, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Yeah, I had to try. I had to do this. I've been alternating more of the dew than the Dr Pepper, but Colonel Clink. Yeah, Billy Smith mentality. Yeah, I kind of liked giving him the business. Nah, I mean it was fun. I busted up skates that way. You try and do street hockey goalie, and you're wearing the skates, and it just you know between that and I bought the pads that were like pretty worthless. They were like, I think, Franklin at the time. It was, I was a college kid or maybe even high school, late high school. So I was a redneck. I think I don't know if I got them at Kmart or some other, maybe a sporting goods store that had Franklin stuff. It's pretty, and the pay. I think they were supposed to be used for ice, and I was using them for pavement, and they just really got the what kicked out of them. Yeah, they are not sliding those things, like the leg pads and stuff on pavement. I think I just used a regular old catcher chest protector a lot of times with my Pat LaFontaine Sabres sweater over top of it. Worked out all right, and I had a mask, and I scared kids. Good Halloween get up. I don't know. I never wore it at Halloween. I should have. Um, so yeah. So TBL, I keep. Sorry, just these long 10-hour days. They just about this time of day. It really gets to you. But yeah, the TBL keeps moving along. I think I did game 152, so I'm up through that. So it's nice to be on the downhill side of it. Just got to keep kind of chipping away at the remaining schedule. Um, Mets, Marlins, I think, are still at the top. Yankees have been in a funk. The Angels can't seem to get. I think they might have finally gotten their 10th win out of maybe 30 games or something to that effect. So, Angels haven't fared too well. The Padres surprisingly had, and I guess maybe where I'm. One of the things I feel like with Strat maybe is that you might get the extremes kind of condensed using Strat. You might have good teams kind of like falling into the middle, and the bad teams the same. Just maybe the mechanism doesn't quite always produce the. Of course, you wouldn't want to. You look at baseball, and most of them are right between the 400 and 600. So it's tough to get extremes. And so maybe it's better than what I thought. Maybe but I don't know. For some reason, the Padres are doing better than they should. Um, Toronto, I think they're still doing okay. Pittsburgh, they seem to be doing better than they should. The Marlins are better than they should be for sure. I think the Mets are pretty much on pace. Um, Trying to remember what other teams are in there. You got Oakland, they're kind of middle of the pack. I think Detroit's kind of middle of the pack. Um, yeah, somehow the Yankees aren't really. I think their pitching has been a little bit tougher, and the other thing is that I kind of feel like all of the. So here's another potential learning, and I may have mentioned this already on the channel. I kind of feel like with this TBL that um, depending on whether you use the DH or the no DH, it may help one league over the other. That would kind of make sense, I guess. If you're not using the DH, the American League teams are going to lose out on all of that production, and their pitchers are still going to be giving up, a certain amount more in earned runs per game. So, whereas if you have the DH, then they're making it up, and then you've got an NL team. Although when we did the TBL, the first one, you had the Dodgers and the Cubs both show well in it. So, but I think when you have the pitcher going, what was I? No, I was saying when you had the DH going, the NL teams don't often carry that extra guy to be able to fill the DH role. You might be bringing in a guy who's just not going to be up to snuff. So there's some imperfections in all of that, but I think it's done a pretty decent job. It's given me some intrigue, and it's going to get more intriguing as we get down to the end and see which teams are right on the edge of sort of that playoff, the 4 and 5, and maybe the 6. If they're all sort of in that right around 500, it could get interesting. So, am I a Queen fan? So, I would say I'm not a huge Queen fan, but I would say I do like plenty of their music. I have heard that the movie itself is it may be a little on the risque side at times. I mean, you're dealing with a guy who, he died of AIDS. It was one of the early open homosexuals that was in the in the stardom. It was the era of heavy drug use. So I think I think from what I've heard, it does a pretty good job of dramatizing that. And so just beware that I don't think he's going to come off in the movie as some kind of hero or anything like that. Although I would say it's fine as far as like a champion of, gay rights and stuff like that, or just, being someone who sort of like led the way as far as making it, furthering the progression of, the lifestyle becoming more and more mainstream. Although he kind of, he ended up paying the price with what little was known about AIDS at the time. But I think it probably depicts him as being pretty much liking the party scene, I guess. But I also, I think my friend was saying there's some good tidbits about different songs, how they came about, and but I have not seen the movie yet, so I'm kind of giving a critique on something that I can't critique because I've never seen it. I'm just going off of, like I said, a friend who had seen it, who cricket pads worked very well for street hockey goalies. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess you can find cricket pads nowadays in this country. Probably mostly on college campuses, but I don't know. Maybe Dick's has them depending on which area you go to. Maybe in the bigger cities they would have some cricket stuff. I mean, they probably still have hockey pads and things like that. But these were definitely like street. I don't know. Maybe they were made for street. It was just they were like a synthetic material, and they just got clobbered. So the other thing is that hockey sticks really weren't very well intended for pavement. So you're playing on like a street rink. Excuse me, I'm just like getting some indigestion here. Street rink, you're just like chewing up your stick unless you hold it off of the. If you're doing a lot of puck carrying and stuff, or if you're like leaning on it a lot because you're out of breath, like I was, you kind of like chew up the stick pretty good. You put tape on it, but then the tape's gone in hardly any time at all. Um, but yeah, TBL has been good. Was thinking about getting out the app of soccer mostly because the Premier League's been back on, and I've been trying to watch some of the games. I think I've discussed the fact that I was pretty. Um, I was pretty devout in the Premier League back 9 years ago now. Was really became a big fan and kind of like wasted out on it um, I think mostly because I wanted to get involved in the journalism side of things with the American soccer scene, and I think the realities of American soccer just kind of like got to me after a while. That you expect more and you don't usually get it. Um, so it's kind of the probably the just desserts of having having it being the fifth or sixth most popular sport, maybe seventh, I don't know, in America. Whereas in the rest of the world, it's pretty much the most popular. And so, certain aspects that, granted, you look at the Premier League and what happens most of the time, your Manchester Cities, your Chelsea, your Liverpool, your Manchester United, they're the ones that go out and get the big players. And um, so, it's kind of weird because you get caught in between liking the parody in that comes from certain, like especially the NFL has a lot of parody, except if you're in the AFC East. But um, most of the other divisions in football have plenty of parity. But I don't know. There was something about the Premier League and a couple of years ago, you had Leicester City win, who they were a big underdog. Every once in a while, it will happen, but it's kind of like the perfect storm where kind of everything comes together. They also had um, a filthy rich owner who did put some investment into the club and got some guys who really came through for them at that time. It just doesn't happen every day. Um, Although I guess you could say Manchester City has had an extended run from that. Chelsea as well. Those teams weren't necessarily the big clubs until they had big, rich owners come in and just start, buying up. And Liverpool went through a stretch where they were purchased by an owner that wasn't so good, a set of owners, and then John Henry from the Red Sox. He bought Liverpool, and now they're back into they won a European championship, and still go. Looks like they're going pretty well so far this season. So um, I don't know. It's kind of tough because yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird to see one versus the other. But I was, like I guess what my point was is I was thinking about getting out at soccer, and then again it was just this last week or two has been really like nuts, and it just kind of like everything got wiped off the table, and except for some kind of like one-off things from. So I'm planning here the next day or two to get out um, a Diamond Kings, so be on the lookout for that. And so G Puck says go Spurs. Yeah, them Tottenham Spurs. It was that. Oh, what's that guy's name? Oh, the one comedian did the pretended to be an American football coach who went over to coach Tottenham Hotspur. I'm sure that someone will chime in with that, either the character or the actor. He was on, I believe he was on Saturday Night Live. He was also on that show with um, Will Fort, Last Man on Earth. I think his name's Jason something or other, but that seems to be the first name that comes to mind, but I can't think of the other name. Um, and then I've got all of these. I've got games that I need to kind of like get off my rear end and deal with, and I just it's where I'm kind of like stuck, feeling like if I go and spend money on another game, I'm it's just going to sit. If I go and buy another season, it's just going to sit. I bought a couple of second season NFL seasons from the recent last couple of years that are just not really getting anything out of, and so I just feel like I'm not being a very good steward of my finances and my channel. But I don't know. They're not. Let's go off on another tangent. What was I reading? I was reading about Woodstock, and I think part of it was because one of the things that my wife and I did when we were um, kidless for a few days, we went to a concert in Philadelphia. It was Ringo Starr and his all-star band. Pretty cool. Um, Ringo, I'll tell you, I underestimated how many songs he had turned into very recognizable good songs. I mean, granted, there were like two or three with the Beatles that everybody would recognize, but then he had like, um, what is it? It Don't Come Easy. I don't know. And a few others that were sort of like post Beatles that were. But anyway, so I wanted to go because I wanted to see Colin Hay, who's the lead singer and guitar player from Men at Work. Guy's still got his pipes. I don't know how he does it, but he's just such an awesome singer. Um, and Steve Lukather, who Luke is the guitar player and sang a number of the songs for Toto. He was also a renowned session guitarist for many different acts in the late 70s, early 80s. He played a lot of the rhythm and a couple of leads on Michael Jackson's Thriller album. And so, but then in addition to that, there was a guy, Greg Raleigh, who was in Journey for a period of time, but he was most well known probably as the keyboard player for Santana, and he performed 3 of Santana's songs, and I think he sang on those originally, which was pretty cool. And then Hamish Stewart, which is the bass player for the Average White Band, and obviously Pick Up the Pieces is a pretty iconic song. You might not know that just from the name, but if you heard the saxophone part, you would know it just like that, because it's mostly an instrumental song. But then they also did like Cut the Cake and stuff like that, which is another one of his songs. But anyway, all in all, so they went and played Woodstock a few days after Philly. I'll get onto another tangent about Philly. Let me get this out. So Woodstock, I noticed that the tickets. So Woodstock was a free concert back in, I think it was '69. It's the 50th anniversary, right? it was a free concert, but they had intended to have pre-sale tickets be 15, and I think at the gate it was going to be 20 or something to that effect. In today's currency, that would be, I believe it's $150 for, or maybe 160 for. So just to think about, it's, what is that, 8 times? So I guess maybe 4 evolutions, or maybe it's 3 evolutions of the inflation. Um, so if it doubled, it would be 40. So that's 100% inflation. Then another double would be 80, and then another double would be 160. So pretty weird to think about it that way. But then when you start thinking about a set of cards for your tabletop being, 40, $50, I mean, back in the day, that was, probably $10, so and maybe they charge more than that back in the day, and so maybe we should feel good that it hasn't become even more expensive than that. But so the other tangent about Philly, um, so that concert was a week ago Wednesday, so like 5 days ago. That very night was the night, if anybody watches much of the news, there was a run-in with the police, and a guy got kind of shut into a house. He had drug offenses and all this stuff, and they were trying to issue a warrant, and he started shooting it up, and I think he ended up injuring 6 cops. But we were up in North Philly, and so that was happening about a mile away or thereabouts. We just saw cop car after cop car. I mean, there must have been 100 cars ended up going through there in the course of maybe 20 minutes, just like flying their rear ends right up through there. I mean, a few of them were going up the wrong side of the street, Broad Street and everything. It was just somewhat surreal. You don't see that every day. I said to my wife, with how they're driving and how many there are, there's got to be some police casualties, or at least injuries. And fortunately, thankfully, nobody perished in it all. It sounds like everybody got through it with just injuries, which those guys put their asses on the line all the time for us. So thankful for that. Let's see. Get Back Boogaloo. Yeah, I think that was one of the songs they did. 3 months, bought a card set, rare for demos. Let's see. Let's go back here. Hit that like button, smack. Yeah, there's just make sure you hit it an odd number of times, not even, because I think even would then unlike it probably, or something like that. Like you hit it and then you unhit it, you hit it, unhit it, all that stuff. So yeah, you know what I mean. When you see the thumbs up, then you'll know it's good. Government is not good steward. Yeah, that's true. Photograph. That's another. That's another Ringo song. Yes. Was that may have been with the Beatles, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Gaming, tabletop sports Delaware is spending out the wazoo on stuff. That's good. I guess that's good. He's going to get some dead ball stuff. King of the Hill hockey tournament going to resume. Oh, it's not a King of the Hill hockey. It's King of the Hill baseball. And it will, unless, Tabletop Sports Delaware is doing a King of the Hill hockey tournament. So, Tabletop Sports Delaware, if you've stepped away from the PC and you have the sound on, A. Joseph C. wants to know. I don't know. Maybe he thought of it. Because I'm doing a sort of modified King of the Hill thing with baseball. So, what are we on here? 45 minutes. Tabletop Delaware says videos are honestly too much like work. Hey, that's one of those things that kind of, we come out here and we talk on the channel, and we try to be honest and stuff. I also kind of feel like there are times when I feel like I'm honest, and I also see like down thumbs. And so then I worry, or not worry, but just it makes me think that people are thinking like I'm whining, and they don't want to hear whining. They want to hear positive stuff. So I'm kind of careful about that. I will say, you know, each of us that run channels, we kind of have a support thing that kind of goes with instant messaging here and there with each other. And, we try to kind of like, I like to try to keep positive on the channel as much as I can. Uh, Certain projects notwithstanding, where it's kind of gotten a little crazy at times. But, um, you know, when you put something on video, you don't want it to be wrong. I've had cases where I've replayed a game. You don't want to get into something and then you use a pitcher you shouldn't have used, or you have a guy in the starting lineup that was injured, and then maybe nobody cares, maybe nobody will notice, but then it's all, once you go back and look at your files and you say, oh man, then you're like, then you're going and running it through your head multiple times over and over and over again. Will anybody notice? Will they know? And then all it takes is one time for you not to fix it, and then you'll get a comment. And then you're like paranoid every time after that it's going to come right down to it. So it is a bit like work. It's also, I've mentioned it before, it's work because you've got to carve out an hour. Nothing feels worse than trying to like live stream a game and you get to 45 minutes and you're through the 9 innings and you're like, oh wow, extra innings, good. And then you're through 11 innings and it's the hour mark. You're like, oh crap, I told my wife I was going to be doing this and I can't do that. Or I told the guys that, I got my bowling league, or I got my this or that or the other. And it's like, you just get right down to it and boom. And I'll tell you what, I feel like some of the moments that I regret of my actions most have been where I've gotten kind of like, I haven't played it as tight as I would because it's getting long and I'm just trying to get through it. It's kind of like a labor. I'm like, I'm laboring. I want to see it in. I want to see it in. And I get a little sloppy. I get a little, I'm not using my head as much. I'm just trying to like get quick. I'm not going to worry about who I put in as a pitcher. I'm just going to, so you know what I mean. So yeah, there's lots of things. My whining, I don't know, and I will. I don't like wine that much. A. Joseph C. talks about whining is extra special without cheese. Um, I like cheese. I don't like wine. Just for the record, give me beer, mixed drinks. I'd say beer's A1, mixed drinks is like 2, and wine is sort of like almost seems like what's the point? But I don't know. I feel like if I want to drink, I guess I could go get a bottle of Welch's grape juice and like throw some vodka in it, and maybe maybe I could simulate it. Put in a bottle, charge $100 for it. Hey, you never know. And I'll probably get a dislike for that because there'll be some person who's really into wine who's like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean wine is just grape juice with vodka put in it? You're a heathen." Just trying to get through the game and everyone is watching. Yeah, and I really, I also don't like the feeling that, and it doesn't, since I've done this other project and I haven't been putting the TB out there, I haven't felt it, which is kind of a good feeling, but the feeling that I think really gets to me is when I'm starting a game and I feel like it's just obligatory. Like I'm just putting a game out there because I want to, I feel like the channel needs a game. I'm going to put it out there. I don't want it to be an obligation. I don't want it to be, because when I put it out there and it's an obligation, the passion just isn't the same. And so, and that's why it's probably good to have breaks. It's kind of tough to rush, you know. Back when I was doing the Tenacious Strat channel, I mean, I was doing way too many videos, and part of it was kind of new, and I was really booking through the projects. But you kind of pay the price for it in the long run, because you're just, and I think I got in that project to a point where, yeah, it was starting to wear down a little bit, but I was at the end of the project, so I was like just still chugging, chugging, chugging like the little engine that could. Now you kind of get to a point, now it's kind of like weighed on me to the point where you get to that point and you're only 20% of the way in instead of 80%. And then that little engine that could, I think he goes and goes looking for a siding for maybe a bottle of something strong, if you know what I mean. So TSD likes fine single malt or some other whiskey with some cream soda. We have higher viewership than CNN. Well, you know what? This is the Dugout. I guess I'll get political. The people that watch CNN I feel, I just feel bad for them. They don't, that they haven't found tabletop sports to distract them from the idiocy. And I mean, it's not just them. Like all these news networks, regardless of your viewpoint, their obsession with certain things is just. Of course, we have an obsession here, so hey, whatever. So, and TSD is just echoing what I'm saying about having to make videos. So, if we go through little periods where we're on hiatus, don't hold it against us, please. Try not to. I understand. We and I will say that it's getting comments also can help. And as much as I've said that there are times when certain types of comments are tough to digest, the fact of the matter is that certain types of comments can also mean that someone cares enough to watch and is paying attention. So maybe I've matured to the point now where I see that even not so good comments means that someone has cared enough to form an opinion to say you're an idiot, or you should have done this differently, or this roll was 4.6 instead of a 4.9, or whatever. I mean, yeah. So anyway, I really should get going here. It's been quite a video, a lot of stuff covered. August and everything since. I don't know. August is a month that, for me, just to end, August is probably the most tortuous month of every year for me. Summer is my least favorite month. Least favorite season. I'm going crazy. My work schedule is making me crazy. But anyway, summer is my least favorite season, and August is that time when your least favorite season is just dragging on for way, 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 way too long. And it doesn't help that I was twice in the last 2 weeks in a place where, 80 is the high, not 95. So, you know, August, it's a August has been a good month as far as like doing some fun things, but I tell you, it's the weather is miserable and tends to make me miserable at times. So, apologies if that comes through in any of my behavior and demeanor and stuff. But bring on football weather, bring on fall. That is my end all be all favorite time of the year. We don't have good enough falls here in Delaware, but um, a not so great fall is a hell of a lot better than the sadistic summers that we have around here. So, anyway, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you, A. Joseph C. and Tabletop Sports Delaware, and Baseball Demos, and the G Puck, and Brandon Baker for checking in, Mark Russell for correcting me. You're not correcting me, but just kind of getting me set straight on the Second Season Express. Um, we love all you. Please go ahead and hit the like if this is something that you enjoy. Just sort of the hour-long banter of kind of whatever comes to mind. The floor is also yours. Again, we've talked about some things that people have brought up. So August and everything since, guess what? September is coming. And that means I'll be happier. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching live in the Tenacious Dugout. Or it's at, is it in or at? Let's see. Where is this thing? It's live from the Tenacious Dugout. I finally got the right preposition there. So for Tabletop Earl, who wasn't able to stop in for a say hello tonight, but for him, who is my cohort here in the channel, this is Tenacious Earl telling you to look out for an upcoming game of the Tenacious Diamond Kings probably tomorrow night, and we will see you then. Take care. God bless.